So when you stand here talking to each other,
Yeah, people are going to start listening.
Can you have small talk?
Yeah.
Are people watching this? Or?
Morgantown Planning Commission to order. Does anyone want me to read the pre-meeting announcements?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. First matter on the agenda is general public comments. Any public comments for matters not on the agenda? Okay. Matters of business. The meeting minutes from July 11th.
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. I was going to ask. Okay. Next item is new business, SUB 24-157, Morgantown Land Reuse and Preservation Agency, 563 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Just one note, KDC is online, so she's participating virtually. And then you have the staff reports, but I'm going to be working off the slides. So if you want to follow along, I'll just go through that. But for that particular case, the applicant, the Morgantown Land Reuse and Preservation Agency, is wanting to purchase parcel 137 here in the Lower Greenmont area along Pennsylvania and Deckers Avenue from Smith Reynolds LLC. And in doing so, if this advances, here is the plat for the proposed subdivision. And when looking at the acquisition of that piece of property, it was discovered that the area here highlighted in red was an encroachment into 137 from parcel 138, and that's the structure here in addition to the side of this single-family dwelling. And so the proposal by the applicant is to consolidate that residual piece of property with the existing parcel 138 to create two new parcels of land in the B2 district. Looking at the zoning requirements, the portion here highlighted in yellow, which would be acquired by the Land Reuse Agency, will meet all the minimum provisions of the code. And the smaller portion here, while it would not meet the minimum provisions with respect to lot size per se or length or street frontage, it is already non-conforming, and this is actually only improving the non-conforming situation because it's increasing the size and the frontage of the lot. So that will conclude my report.
Okay, Ryan, you got anything you want to say? You got to come to the microphone and say your name.
You know the drill.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ryan Simonton, representing the Land Reuse Agency in this application for subdivision. I have nothing to add to the presentation by Director Yeager, but if the Commission has any questions, I'd be happy to entertain those.
Go ahead.
I have one question because the non-conforming use, Ricky, are the lot size. I know there's two provisions that say that grant kind of an exception to that. One of it being that basically, because the Land Reuse Agency is a government agency, that if it's for the public good, that we can kind of approve this type of non-conforming lot situation. You know, I'm not going to say no questions, but under those guidelines. So I would like to ask him for the record, what is I'm assuming that the Land Reuse Agency is a government agency as it's defined in the code, if it is defined in the code, and then two, what public purpose will this property serve?
Certain. Correct on both. The Land Reuse Agency is a public corporation established by the City of Morgantown for the purposes authorized in the enabling legislation, but really to promote the use and development of land within the city. So it will take ownership of the property and be subject to those restrictions on its permitted uses under state law. The specific purpose of this acquisition, along with others in this area, is the Land Reuse Agency has been allocated a portion of the City of Morgantown's local fiscal recovery funds authorized under the American Recovery Plan Act. And its designated purpose for use of those funds is to promote affordable housing as well as potentially open space.
Great, thank you.
Sir?
I have
Any
questions.
Yes.
Are these two lots currently owned by the same person?
Yes, they are.
Was there any consideration given to making that non-conforming lot large enough to essentially be conforming for the future?
It was not a part of our or the agency's acquisition discussions with the property owner. They contracted to buy what is designated as parcel 137. We identified that there was possibly an encroachment issue, and so the terms of the parties' arrangement required that the encroachment issue be resolved so that the existing structure, which is a rental property, could be maintained with its current use and didn't go any farther than that.
How, maybe this is for Director Yeager, but how much smaller than conforming would this parcel of land, this new parcel of land 138 be?
The minimum square footage for a parcel in the B2 district is 6,000 square feet. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the new consolidation would be, but it would be less than the 6,000.
But I guess my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we're looking at, if you show the one where it's got the yellow and the red.
Oh,
There.
sorry. Go back to this one. Yep.
Yeah, so, actually, I don't know if you have it. It's
The
on
other one?
page 1 of 3 of the report, 13 to 28, on the packet.
Yes, I don't have that one up on
Okay,
the
so
screen.
what I'm looking at is you have the yellow parcel and then the kind of red-orange that says parcel 137, a residual parcel. Is that residual parcel going to eventually go into 138?
That is what's shown on the plat and with the legal descriptions that were provided in the packet. Yes, it is being consolidated.
So 138 will then become, and I'm just going to throw numbers out there, it'll go from, say, 3,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet. Still won't meet it, but it's going to get closer.
Correct.
And I would assume then, hopefully, that we'll see a minor subdivision from whoever owns 138 to consolidate those two parcels.
I think they would need to do that if they're going to either transfer the property or change the use there.
Okay.
So anything other than just maintaining the current conditions, that would be a requirement.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
They asked my questions.
Okay.
so.
Don't you hate that?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, any member of the audience that'd like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition? Okay, staff recommendation, please.
Staff recommends approval of the minor subdivision as presented with the conditions listed in the packet. Note that under point 1, it should read the applicant submits a revised survey plat that includes a vicinity map, period, because the lot consolidation has already been accounted for in the survey as well as the legal descriptions.
Okay, any discussion?
I want to see this move forward clearly, but I think especially when it's transactions with the city, moving forward, I would like to see us trying to bring these parcels into conformity. I guess, I don't know if that's a small change to this or a large change to this because we weren't given the proposed size. But, I mean,
We can calculate that really quick if, 1 second.
in the future, I would like it to be a consideration so that when this inevitably changes hands again, it is conforming. We have a lot of property purchases and stuff happening, especially in this area, and I don't know, a house that takes up the entirety of its lot is not ideal for any potential neighbors.
Understood.
I'll say it into the mic if you like, but understood, and we'll convey that both to the agency and city manager.
Yep.
I do think, Commissioner Trumbull, to your point, that is, should always be our goal to have that, but given that the land reuse agency is it's an agency and the public, intent of the property or the acquisition is for affordable housing, that provision in the report, I can't remember, is kind of a relief valve to allow for non-conforming issues. Now, I know the goal should be, you should always create a non-conforming, but, or create a conforming lot, but given that this is to serve a stated purpose of not only the city and the land reuse agency, but for the community, I think we should move forward with this, with just the condition or the acknowledgement that that is the provision we're citing, because we know we are dealing with a non-conforming lot.
Certainly, I am favorable to the project, just for future considerations.
Just out of curiosity, I'm looking at the survey, and if I'm reading it right, 137, what's going to be 137 is Lot 5, Lot 6, and the Pennsylvania Avenue side of Lot 7, and part of Lot 8. Is that correct?
Yes, parcel 137 is part of lot 7, 8, 9, and 10 in their entirety. Yes.
And 138 is
Where-
5, 6, part of 7, part of 8.
Sorry, what was that?
No, I don't think I don't think 5 and 6 are part of it.
You don't think 5, because it's
No,
still
5 and
says
6 are not part
That's
of the.
139.
Okay.
That's a,
Parcel 139.
let's see. What
Okay.
parcel? It's parcel 139.
Okay, which are vacant, yes?
Yes.
Owned by the same
Same
by the same
individual.
person,
Same
yeah.
owner.
So maybe when he comes to consolidate,
Well,
we can.
I mean, it's not, I don't think he builds houses.
I was thinking.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any motion?
Move to approve with staff recommendations.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Katie? Did not catch that.
Hi. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, that looks to be unanimous then. Or sounds to be. Next item on the agenda is SUB 24-152 Barnes, 1300 Charles Avenue.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'm going to be referring to the slides up here to go through the proposal. So in the picture on the left-hand side of the two lots is basically equates to a minor boundary adjustment between the two parcels, parcel 149 to the north and parcel 148.1 to the south. The picture on the right is this kind of the Google Street View looking up into the site, looking up into the gravel driveway. This immediately closer to the screen would be considered parcel 148.1, and then back where you see the single-family dwelling, that would be parcel 149. The proposal is to move the existing property line between those parcels south and to move it closer towards the barn and move it away from the house. And the applicant's intent there is a possibility of selling the single-family dwelling to the north and the lot associated with it in the future. Nothing's on the table now, but that's the intent for the subdivision right now. And what has been submitted in your packet into staff is a preliminary plat. Usually we get something that's a little more finalized than this, but the code does allow for a preliminary plat to be approved and then a final plat to be completed upon further review as long as all the code requirements are met or the applicant gets a variance relief from the city's Board of Zoning Appeals. So the couple of things I wanted to note that's in with this particular preliminary plat that wasn't provided, here's what the new makeup would look like. The two parcels, the green and the light orange there are brown. What was missing from the preliminary plat was the new proposed acreage or square footage requirement. That was missing from both parcels, so they just used an existing plat and drew the line there for now. What was also missing was the measurements or distances for the proposed, what the new lot lines would be. Again, that will probably be provided more accurately right when the survey is completed and the legal descriptions are drafted. But in particular, lot number 148.1 is about 83 feet, and in an R1 district, it needs to be, let's see, what was it? It needs to be at least 70 feet. So it's going to be close, but This is the preliminary plat that we were given. Also, what wasn't noted, but I think that the applicant did note, at least in talking to staff, was that the distance or the setback of the single-family dwelling from the new rear property line would exceed at least 25 feet, which is the requirement for a setback if that property line was moved from where it is now, which now it's non-conforming from that particular property line. And then the other issue, just wanted to bring our attention, is the blue barn that's in the back. When that property line is adjusted, we would want to make sure that it's at least 5 foot from at least the side yard, the new side yard property line. Again, this isn't changing hands anytime soon, so you can assume that all three of these parcels that are shown in this map are all under common ownership right now. But when it is, if it were to be sold, we'd want to make sure that that barn is set back at least 5 foot from the property line, or we'd have to look at wanting to require some sort of easement for long-term maintenance of the barn itself. So those are the issues that were noted with the preliminary plat, and that will conclude staff's report.
Okay, is the applicant here?
No.
Okay. Are we supposed to be representing the applicant, or just,
I was told that they were going to attend, but it's up, yeah.
okay. Any questions for the planner?
Was there any consideration given to allowing, this is like 4 houses down from my house.
Yep.
That current driveway that this entire property uses, that one, comes off of Charles Avenue. On the plat, it says that there's a gravel driveway coming off of Herman. That is grown over. It does not appear as though it's been used in a long time. And it certainly leads to a garage on the home, but that intersection is incredibly, I can assume why that driveway has not been used in a long time.
Right.
That intersection is awful. Was there any consideration given to allowing like an easement through those properties for the existing driveway to still serve the structure?
Yes, there was. Staff did have a conversation about that because of the same general concerns, especially if the lot was subdivided and then you'd have crossing over. My understanding, without the applicant not being here, but my understanding is that if that property was sold, the primary access to the single-family dwelling would come off of Herman. There would be no easement off of, at least that was not considered at the time, I think, or not ideal situation for this particular subdivision. The property owner does envision maintaining or retaining those 2 parcels of land, and there are no plans to develop them at this time. The owner wants to retain the parcels 148 and 148.1.
So I understand theoretically,
Right.
this driveway already exists off of Herman. Again, it's grassy right now. It hasn't been used in a long time. I looked at it today. Do we have any type of regulation, assuming this was not already in existence, if someone were to divide a piece of their property to sell, do we have any kind of regulation that would say where a driveway could access or how close to an intersection, or like, this is a very dangerous intersection?
If there was no driveway there, I mean, they would have to get obviously a right-of-way permit to put the driveway in. So that'd be one thing that engineering and planning would take a look at to see, given where it is at Herman and Charles Avenue. Yes, it's something that we would look at.
Yeah, it's not that it's just even like Herman and Charles, like this other street that you can see is Willie, and that's,
Right. I understand.
it's an awful place for a driveway to come out onto Herman, and I foresee accidents once that is back in use.
I will say this, though, as far as an easement, if it's common ownership of those 2 lots, easement, really can't grant an easement to yourself. You would only be able to grant an easement once this is sold.
Sold.
Yeah. And I would think that if I was buying that property, I would negotiate that as part of the deal. But, I don't know.
People should be able to sell their house if they want, but I was concerned about the driveway.
Right.
Ricky, not to put you on the spot, are you aware, though, if there's any driveway requirement, the location near an intersection or,
There's standard site vision requirements.
Sure.
I don't know what those exact numbers are off the top of my head, but yes, there are.
yeah, but any type of subdivision would still have to abide by those design requirements
Correct.
that engineering would enforce?
Correct.
Great.
Yep.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, any member of the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition? No? Sure, okay.
Sorry, he's
Just giving you a
looking.
shot.
Come on, jump up.
Okay, staff recommendation, please.
After review, staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat and subsequent final plat in accordance with 137304 of the city's planning and zone with the conditions listed in your packet, which basically essentially says that they need to submit a revised preliminary plat with the measurements and distances required. And if that meets what the code requirements are, then they can go ahead and move and have their surveyor, and they do have a surveyor that's ready to go ahead and formally do the survey and finalize a plat to present to get stamped by the commission president. If in the event the preliminary plat is not up to conformance, then they would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to get a variance relief, or come back to this body.
Okay, discussion?
I have one more question for Ricky, if I may.
Sure.
For the survey to come through the final plat, will they have to put the footprint of the barn?
That would be a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah, because we need to know that distance. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
We're calling it a barn, but it's just it's a small shed, right? I don't think it's like a,
I don't know, it's,
Looks pretty big from this picture. but-
all right. Okay.
Any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve with staff's conditions.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Hi.
Katie? We didn't get Katie.
pardon me?
Any opposed?
Anyone opposed?
Katie, are you still there? Can you hear me? Yes, we can. We got it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, committee report. Staff comments.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the commission?
One question, sorry, I know, but Ricky, for subdivision applications, do we require a property owner signature, or is it just an applicant? How do we kind of safeguard ourselves that, you know, a rogue person's putting an application for another property? Do we have anything?
So when we were primarily paper-based, there was the signature and the attest to.
Sure.
So we had that component, and now that we moved to online, you're basically consenting. So when you go to submit the application, you're consenting that you're.
Perfect, thank
Yep.
you.
Anything else?
Go to adjourn?
Okay, let's go. We're adjourned.
Thank you, thank you. Is the red light or?
Still green.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.